Hey girls, Erin Davis here with another quick summer book club update. I'm fighting a nasty summer cold this week, so please forgive me if I sound a little funny. I hope you're reading along with us. We're reading this book, This Changes Everything by Jack Welch-Crowe. The tagline is How the Gospel Transforms the Teen Years. And this week we read chapter 3, which was all about how the gospel transforms our community. I just spoke some serious Christianese there. We say those buzzwords a lot. Gospel and community. We might even say them in the same sentence. But do you understand how the gospel, the idea that Jesus came for the lost, how that impacts our community, how we interact in our relationships, specifically in the church? There's a lot of really good stuff in this chapter. I hope you've taken the time to read it. If not, please do so. It's rich. You'll want to kind of linger in this chapter for a little bit instead of racing through it. But there was one part that I was especially sort of captivated by, where she was talking about teenagers and the church. I love teenagers and I love the church. And she has this idea of why so many teenagers are abandoning the church altogether or are disengaged or not passionate about the church. I'll just read to you what she writes. Many Christian teenagers are pushed into a youth group with their own peers and age group, given pizza and games, and then sent home with no invitation or welcome into the bigger community of the church. And as I read that and highlighted that, I thought, she is so right. I love youth groups. My youth group was such a formative part of my Christian walk. But if your youth group is how you define your church, you're missing something. So I thought about this idea. What if the church left the youth group? Not that I want you to leave your youth group or walk away entirely, but what if you walked away from that idea that your youth group is your entire church experience? What if instead of only interacting with girls your age, you looked outside your youth group walls? What if instead of only sitting with your youth group on a Sunday morning, you sat with your family or sat with somebody you didn't know? What if instead of attending the Sunday school classes for teenagers, you joined a class for people who aren't your age? I think of the Dynamo class in my church. That's what they call themselves, which I love. And they're a little group of gray-headed ladies that have been meeting together for decades, and they would be overjoyed to have girls like you in their class. Or maybe you could teach to 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. Because while the kids in your youth group have something to offer you, they are not the whole picture of the church. Their experiences are very similar to yours, and so you miss the wisdom from other generations. And their struggles are very similar to yours. And also, if you have this idea that church exists to serve you and serve people like you don't understand the church. So I have a really practical assignment for you this week. I want you to interact with someone at your church this Sunday morning who isn't your age. I mean, not even in your generation. Let's say at least 15 years older or at least 10 years younger. How are you going to do it? Are you going to sit by them? Are you going to have coffee with them in the lobby before church begins? Are you going to ask if you can spend some extra time in the nursery this week? How are you going to interact with someone who's outside your youth group inside your church? Now, there's lots of other really good stuff in this chapter, and I'm going to put it in a blog post below so that we can continue to dialogue about it. We've still got 10 copies of this book to give away, and so I'll also tell you how you can snag a copy in the blog post below. But don't miss a week, don't miss a chapter. Join us right back here next Monday. Bethany is going to be talking to us about chapter 4 of this book, which is about how the gospel impacts our sin. See you there.